Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Kuryr Resource Management DevRef or spec discussion. This discussion was agreed on Monday in the IRC meeting to go a bit over the different approaches in resource management. The discussion started from Luís Tomás DevRef patch that is about the resource management for pods, and with resource management we mean to make a way in which the neutron resources and possibly also physical or box resources will be able to be reused or pooled, just partly to reduce the load on the neutron servers, more importantly to speed up and to make the whole integration more efficient. So maybe Luís, you can first expose the approach that you're proposing, and then we can continue the discussion from there.
Yeah, great. So I have two kind of proposals, one for side-by-side deployment, where the containers are kind of bare metal, and the other one, I mean, it's pretty much the same, but the idea is to use a pool of ports that are pre-created, so that when the containers are boot up, they can use those ports that are already created. For the bare metal case, we create a pool of ports, and then of course we need to wait still for the active as when linking to the containers, as the port is not active until you bound it to something. So the idea is that we remove the port creation and port deletion from the containers kind of life cycle creation from Kuryr. As it was pointed out, maybe it could be extended with a CNI approach where you actually also take advantage of the BEF devices created, but that's to be discussed here. And on the other hand, for the nested environment, the approach will save more time, since as the port, for the track port case, as the port is both created and attached to the VM, then the port will be already active. So it's just a matter of connecting the container to the virtual NIC of the VM. So I assume I still need to measure the performance there.
Right.
And it's supposed to be way better.
Luís, I wonder if it's not better to make the same approach on both sides, which means like the performance is going to be better on pod in VM because, as you said, the port will already be active. And for this reason, I was thinking, and Ilya also mentioned that, and it's exactly what he was driving for, which is that not only we save the neutron creation and deletion, but we also save the VF devices. So when, in the case of reusal, right, instead of just letting the VF be destroyed with the namespace by kubectl, sorry, by kubelet, we block it back from on remove from network, and we place it on a pool namespace, and then we just pick it back from there on the next creation. And this way we would also save the Open vSwitch operations and all the port going active flow. And in this way, I think that both approaches, both bare metal and nested, would look practically the same.
Well,
Tony, so your proposal is to have such pools on worker nodes?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, maybe I should explain this a little bit. Yeah, well, so my idea was that we have like two pools actually. So one is what is Luís proposing, because we do need to somehow have this information about this pool on the controller side. And VTH pool is on the CNI side. And the idea was that they probably do not need to know about each other. So those are two different pools, but my point was that just pulling the neutron port create wouldn't help that much for the bare metal case, but I do agree that in case of container in VM, what Luís is, I think, is working on, right? So in that case,
as I said, it's equivalent, like to have the pool on CNI and not to need any pool on the nested side is I think it's equivalent performance wise.
Yeah. So basically we need those two actually pools, right? So my idea was that we introduce some sort of resource manager or resource pool, which is sort of generic. We have different storage backends for that resource pool, because in case of CNI, we'll probably use run files. I mean, the /run entropy on file system that I think Tony explained it sometime in December. We had this discussion, right? So
That's right.
in case of CNI, we store VTH or actually VIFs in file system in TempFS. And in case of ports, we need something more persistent and something that is clustered. So probably the best way is to use Kubernetes. How's the custom resources?
The third party object.
Yeah, third party resources. So we can store our information there. But I'd like that to have the same API from the code part and just two different storage backends. So one for file system and another for.
That sounds right.
I have a question about the pool of BEF devices for the CNI. Since it seems to me.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that this is kind of like a parallel work. I mean, it can be on the one hand the pool of ports and on the other hand the CNI. But we need to consider that if you keep the BEF devices, they are also existing in a specific node. So you need to somehow make the scheduling decisions about where the pods are going to be located.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you have this information because the port actually is bound to a node. You do have
right
the name of the node that holds.
So the event we get is after the scheduler, so the pod description or has the information about which node, and then we can cross-check with a pool of ports that we have. So that should not be an issue, right, Luís?
No, I was thinking that what will happen if the scheduler allocates the next pod in a different server? Then you are not taking advantage of anything.
Well, I mean, you are eventually.
And also, you said that you want to pre-create ports, but I think that's actually right. Not really a good idea. So I expect this to be sort of dynamic. So this resource pool, it will be, when you start, it will initialize itself with some minimal amount of ports. Once you use all those ports, it should extend itself. So like it should grow. And if you actually released like, so let's say you requested 1,000 ports for some short-term task, and then you released 900 of them, so you only have like 100 active. I think we should actually release those ports after some time. So it should be also time-based. We do not need to hold all those ports because
I agree with that.
Because we don't know how we want to allocate them, right? So
I mean, right now, the approach that I have right now is also somehow threshold based. So it will create the first time X amount. So it's in that case, it's similar to what you're proposing. The only thing is to also have some kind of control threshold base for the deletion, that if the amount is bigger than Y, then you delete the extra from that. It doesn't really matter if a port is being created like a while ago or not. It's just a matter of how many you have, right?
well, I mean, I don't quite understand what do you mean. I mean,
it's like we have a pool of ports, and then the first time in the current approach, you just create whatever you define. So as you said, you will have a certain amount at the beginning, let's say 10, to put a number. And then you specify that you don't want to have more than 20 ports in the pool. So when you have more ports and they are releasing their more pods and you are releasing their ports, it will be storing this pool, and then we will be checking that if the pool has more than 20 ports, then we will delete the extra ones.
okay. So it's the number of free ports.
Yeah.
Usable ones. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think it's an easier way to manage it.
And I'm not sure if I understood the other approach, but I understood whatever Luís explained just now, and yeah, that seems reasonable to me. Whatever Luís explained.
I also have additional question: if the ports which are pre-allocated are spread across the worker nodes in advance, or the placement or host ID, speaking neutral language, is updated once pod is scheduled. I'm not sure I got your idea, Luís, about this.
For the nested case, of course, it could be allocated where the VM is allocated. So that's a simple case. But for the bare metal one, right now it's just a bulk creation, so they are not actually binded to any server. But that's something we need to handle. Yes.
Indeed, we really need to handle that.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if we should consider also some integration with Kubernetes scheduler or extension to the scheduler if we decide to spread the ports across worker nodes.
And that could probably help us avoid the
rescheduling. Yeah.
No, the third-party resources. I think it could probably work, but it's something that we would have to look a bit more into, because if we could do without the third-party resources, because they are kind of like an unsupported part of the API, let's say, it would be better. But we definitely need some store or for some way of for Kubernetes to reach into what we know.
The problem is, I think that if we don't have this storage, we can just rely on Neutron. So with what issues we have with device owner, so I mean, if you don't store this pool details somewhere, you probably need to run some queries against Neutron API, right? So how do you know what ports you have in this pool? You should run some list ports, I guess, right? And
that's one option, yes.
yeah, and so to do this list ports, you need to know some predicates. And if you can't use device owner, which seems to be an issue with Luís patch.
Yeah, then you need to use the tags, and we will have to optimize that in Neutron. I
actually don't like the idea using tags. I don't really because, well, tags are kind of user-facing API, and I really think we should use device owner if we can, of course. But I think we can. But that's probably a different discussion.
Yeah, it is related, but a bit different. No, what I was thinking is that maybe in the scheduler, I have not checked. Like Irena passed me the link to the scheduler extensions for Kubernetes. But I don't know, maybe there would be the option that this could go and check into the worker nodes to send a request when we have the CNI daemon to get the status of the pool. But that's a bit fragile, I admit to that.
Can you share that link about the scheduler for Kubernetes?
I'll try to find it. Otherwise, I'll ask Irena again. But I'll try to find it. So the idea, like, if you look at it from how it would look if we would be part of Kubernetes, how you would do this typically is that just like the scheduler is getting information from the kubelet periodically, you would also be able to have a plugin for kubelet that would allow you to report the status of the pool periodically. So that was the idea I had. That then it would be easy for the scheduler plugin to, it would already have all the information it needed, and it would not need to make any call into Neutron or anything.
למה אני רואה את טוני על המחשב שלך? אני לא יודע מה מערכת היחסים שלך עם אשד, אין לנו שום דבר.
I think we hear some background discussion.
Yes, I'm not sure it's related to Kuryr though. So I don't know what, like, I have to check if there would be a possibility for this, like a bit longer term. But as I said, if we were able to just have some code in the kubelet, some extension for the reporting that just used the namespace, like just went into the namespace, checked what is there and reported it back, so it can be used for the scheduler, that would be great. Because as I said, if instead the scheduler has to go into the machines and request it, it's a bit fragile.
But let's say it's long-term.
Yes, that's absolutely long-term plan.
Yeah, well, we'll probably won't be able to do this before release.
No, absolutely not.
Let's probably try to get.
Yeah, leave it aside. Yeah, I was just giving like long-term idea. So for the actual plan right now, it all depends a bit onto a decision, like whether we want the split to take precedence or the reusal driver to or for resource management to take precedence. If we want to reuse first, that means that what we can do is manage all these actions both from CNI and from the controller in a way that, wait a sec. I muted Irena. Irena, write in the chat if you want to talk again. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought, but I'm getting there. Wait a sec. Yeah, okay. So the idea is that even if you went to just for the reusing, like like Luis does. From the CNI part, you would be able to manage the namespace for the already active ports anyway. You would just It would just be a bit more costly because you would need to go into the namespace, list the devices, and so on. But unless you have tons of devices into the pool, and the idea that he has of limiting the maximum amount of devices that you have there is a good one. Sorry. The netlink operation of listing devices, and we only need really the name because we can match the name to the port. That's not that big of a deal, and yes, it's a bit like POC level, because then you need to manage in memory. If you don't want to make yet the third-party resources, like if you want to use them, then it's not just POC level, it's just less evolved than if you have proper process that manages the pool all the time, and that also consolidates all the watches. So the split brings a lot of advantages by itself.
Sorry, Tony.
Sure, go ahead.
Who will be going into this namespace to list the devices? I don't quite understand. I mean,
the CNI would.
And why?
Well, so what it would do is it doesn't know the index, right? So if it needs, well, actually PyRoot abstracts that for you. You would get the VIF on the pod, right? And what you would do from CNI is you would go inside the namespace, find the device by name that matches the port, just move it where it belongs. I was just thinking about in netlink terms that you would need to list the devices and then select it by name. But yeah, with PyRoot, it's a single operation.
About reuse on the CNI side right now.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like if we want, like the features that we want, or that I'm pushing,
we could do this a little bit easier.
Okay,
I mean,
go ahead.
First of all, for the CNI, we actually need this VIF object, right?
Right, absolutely.
So you need to get it anyway.
Sure.
And if so, we need to somehow match it to. Well, if we have this device, so we like know the name of the device. I mean, within this VIF object, you have VIF name, which actually is similar to that.
To the 15 characters of the device name.
Yeah, that top whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Name.
That's
so
the 15 characters.
When we are moving this device to a namespace, we just. So within the port, it's like ETH0, but when we move it to this recycle namespace, we actually renamed it to that top whatever name, and no, you don't need to list devices.
That sorry, it was not understood. That's what I meant. I meant you will have the devices in the namespace with the name that you get from the VIF information. What I meant with the list is the netlink operation that you need to list what you have in the namespace to find it by name.
But I think the name will be just not reflecting the VIF, because if it's going to be reused, so it's just arbitrary names that maybe should be renamed to the VIF in order to help through the delete operation.
Sure. Yeah, in the delete operation, we have the information in the run files, and then we just go see on the run file like all the information, and then we can do whatever we want. We move it on the namespace renamed. So we move it as Eth0, we rename it immediately, and then we're done. Then it's up to the next creation to use it and to rename it to Eth0 again, or whatever CNI asks now that it has support for different names.
We can have two ETH0 anyway in the same namespace.
Yeah, you can have multiple, but it's a bit of a mess.
So the mapping between the VIF and the interface inside the namespace will be the name of these interfaces, or
Yes,
or
you're guaranteed that the name
or
is
it can be MAC address also, like the MAC address which Neutron will provide and which we will be.
No, you should use name because that's what Neutron does, and this name is guaranteed to be unique. It's
maybe ID from the one which we get from Neutron, is it? The UUID which we get, which Neutron will be providing.
It is part. It's usually it's tab plus a substring of the port UUID. But that we don't need to care about that because that there is already it's already in Kuryr lib how to generate that name, so it's not a concern.
In case of Nova and Neutron, when you have Nova, you have those tab devices on the same namespace.
We do it the same way.
We just do it exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So no need to worry about it. It's already done for us.
Exactly. So as I said, this is like something that can be done before the split with some properties, and after the split with some better properties. So obviously the timeline to Pike is something to take into consideration, like it's 3 or 4 months, right? So well, I mean, the decision needs to be taken about if it should be happening, like the order basically. And there are two things that could be worked a bit on parallel, but obviously we'll have to trash some work. And I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like if you have other opinion, I don't think that we need to support both approaches, like reusal without a split and with the split. I think that we should just have a single one. So the decision will mean that that if we go before the split to 1.0, like if we don't manage to make both approaches in one cycle, it means that we would have to go to 2.0 then shortly after when we make the split. Semantic versioning wise, it's like that. So maybe we can have a bit of a, like, we can go over it later on the mailing list, but who thinks that we should go first for the split? I think Ilya, right?
No, actually, we discussed it yesterday, I think. I think the split could wait. So the code-wise, I think the split doesn't affect the reusal part.
I mean,
the
pool will be managed a bit differently, but yeah.
We just won't have this in memory, but we'll be like retrieving it with each run. But that's like listing run files, and it's not like. But we should implement run files first. That's something.
The order in any case is run files, then namespace.
First run files and then namespace. This pools work we can do, and then a split we can do.
Exactly. That would be the order that I think it will be the most incremental and an easy order to perform. And then the part of the controller has already been like the basic part, not the part that will use third-party resources, has already been done by Luís. Like it probably needs some tuning and so on, but I think that it is sufficient to be able to allow for the development of the CNI side, so that if we get it in a stage that we're content with and we can merge it. In the meantime, we can have been working on the run files, because the run files do not need a part on the controller for anything at all. But I think that this gives us ample time for getting the controller part, this basic controller part merged, so that then we can start developing the namespace management.
Yeah, also, I think it would be a good idea to have generalized implementation for resources.
Agreed.
As I said,
yeah.
And this applies to both this resource pool for
Security
Luís'
groups.
work and for run files as well. So basically, we should design the same API.
You mean to make it driver based also on CNI for the run files and so on? So that if you want to use SQLite instead, or whatever you want to use, or what?
Well, sort of, but I mean some like interface, user-facing interface, developer-facing interface for like basic acquire and release operations, and of course some object type.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had thought about it for the namespace management, but I totally didn't think about it for the run files. I planned to make my plan was to make something completely hard coded that it just writes to run files and that's it. But
Yeah, I think we should use the same API because, well, we don't want to duplicate the same features, right? So it's pretty much the same thing. It just,
okay.
I mean, it's operating different resources and it's using different backends, but the logic is the same. It manages resources. So
yeah, actually, it's just the operations to be done on create and on tear down.
Yeah, basically yes, and some way to store the to persist the list of devices and a list of objects and their statuses.
Right.
So,
yeah, I just didn't consider this storage part as something that should be pluggable.
It doesn't actually have to be pluggable, I think. Making it pluggable is probably too early. Well,
Yeah,
I don't think so. Yeah, but using the same like base class with base functionality and base API would actually help us in terms of code maintenance.
Okay, so I think that we pretty much agree on the steps to take and how it should look like. So now it's the funny time of asking if somebody. So we have Luís already kind of a bit in the mud with this.
One question, one query I have, Antoni.
Sure, go ahead, Vikas.
Yeah, it's related
trying to avoid me to make the important question. Okay.
no. It's more of a discussion, not a
sure.
direct
Go ahead. Sorry.
So in first phase itself of this neutron port pools, are we going to have a per worker node quota also? Like because these pools will be on each worker node, right? Like wherever CNI is running, there will be some free neutron ports which can be taken in at runtime and which can be bound to the container. So will we be having a per worker node or per CNI quota, like so that we can have these pools on each of the CNI instances running on each of the worker nodes? Did you get my question? No.
I'm sorry, but I got interrupted.
No problem.
Could you repeat it, please? Sorry.
Yeah. like Luis explained, we will have two numbers, like minimum number of ports in the pool and maximum number of ports in the free pool. So if we will be having more free ports, we'll release them. So
That's
this
what we said. Yeah.
yeah. So this thing we will do on one pool, which will be there on one CNI, one worker node. So we'll have to maintain these pools on each of the worker node, means at each of the CNI. So when at the initialization time, when we will be creating these pools, we will create these pools on all the worker nodes.
Yeah, like it's a bit of an unresolved question. Like Ilya said that probably we do not want to do that if we have more dynamic management, like to pre-create them on the worker nodes before that. I think Luís' patch approach is also that you don't pre-create them. Like it's something that we may want to do in the future, but the approach is that when you use them, then after you finish with them, you return them to the pool, and then the pool management starts. So on worker creation, we don't really need on deployment time, we don't need to do anything. In any case, if we wanted to do that, I think that would be something more of that you would do with the Kuryr controller, even if you had the split, that you would say, okay, I configure the controller to manage these pools and so on, so that then it would push some third-party resource to the Kubernetes API, and the daemon would see that all these ports should be bound to the pool, and then it would manage that. But in terms of deployment, we don't need to care about that. It would be a separate thread of the split CNI plugin.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we still do need to do some work on the controllers part and some work on CNI part, even with a Luís approach.
Right.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. No, I was probably I got the question wrong. I was saying that for the first version of the approach, we don't need to create ports beforehand or to care about just making, like, to know, for the controller shouldn't need to know beforehand about the nodes that there are to create ports for the pools. That we will just do reuse of at first, and then we can go into managing those pools that are just from reused ports. I don't know if I made it any better, the explanation.
Right. Like
probably not.
Like I think it doesn't really matter if we pre-create them or reuse them. It's exactly the same way. I mean,
well, if you pre-create them, you need to go to third-party resources already.
If you reuse them, you also do need to do this. I don't mean you need to use exactly third-party resources. It's just a very simple way to do this, and maybe a very lazy way to do this. And
well,
I'm not
yeah,
saying
no.
right.
What I meant is if you do not use the third-party resources and you're just reusing, you can always just if let's say, so the reason why you would use third-party resources is to keep track even if you restart and so on. What I had in mind is that if you restart it, you don't need to care about what's on the pool. You just can pretend that it doesn't exist, and then.
But those will just be leftovers, and
yeah, exactly.
They will just hang there.
But you will also have the neutron.
And you will get rid of them because you have the limit of. You will eventually push them out. You know what I mean? Because
you won't, because you don't know about them. That's the problem.
No, the CNI will. Like
how? CNI doesn't talk to neutron.
No, it doesn't talk to neutron, but it can.
So CNI won't delete those ports.
Yeah, when it will want to return a port to the pool. Sorry.
Yeah.
and it sees that that it already has the maximum amount of members on the pool, it can just delete the oldest one, which is something that you could know from the run file. But I mean,
Well,
it just
CNI will delete the VATH device, but the port, who will delete the port? The neutron port.
well, that's true because we don't have the cleanup task on Kuryr controller. Yeah, that's true.
Through runtimes
And
only
by the
that
way,
can.
just so you guys know, even if you delete the VATH device, the port will not become inactive. Not necessary.
We know that. That's what Luís patch showed on bare metal. The port was not inactive, but still you needed to do so OBS needed to the add operation so that it would be resetting the flows because otherwise it would not it would just not work. Like if you would just have a VS device the same and expect it to work, it would not. Like because it was being deleted, and if you added something that looked the same, but it still needs to happen again. So
we also need to update device and set its status to inactive manually. Unfortunately, for some reason, Neutron doesn't do it for us.
well, no, but if they're in the, you mean for deletion, but when they are in the pool, we don't need to put them in active mode.
If you let's say you have a pod, you have deleted this pod, but you have not deleted the port.
Right.
You don't have the VATH device anymore.
Well, you could if you move it.
No. I mean, you have deleted the VATH device. I'm not talking about reusal or anything.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
So,
the port is considered active in
the port is still considered active
in OBS. Yes, but if you would create a VTH device called the same and so on until you add port, it would not work again.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what we saw from Luís.
There is some additional work to be done there.
I think when you include the new flow in OpenVSwitch, you need to have a cookie, and then it will not match if you try to just plug the same in the same port. Unless you have the cookie somewhere, I guess.
I don't know the details. That's probably something that Terry from our Neutron team would know. Well, in any case, I mean, if we reuse the VS device, we don't need to care about this. But it's an important point for when we have too many free elements and we free VS and we want to remove one. Like the controller needs to know about that and to remove the port as well.
Well, allocation should also happen both on the controller and that's what was my point.
Well, allocation is already happening also on both sides. Like currently, without any resource management, happens in both sides, right? That doesn't need to change. Only it needs to check if, like the Kuryr controller needs to check if there is already something on the pool, put it on the VIF, and then the CNI. All thing it needs to do is to check if the VIF already exists, and if it already exists in the pool, then it uses that VS device that already exists. Sorry, my son apparently is a TV, and okay, I'll give it up. Yeah, and then if the VS device is in the namespace, to just move it inside the pod. Otherwise, it needs to do the OVS operation, so the cookie is set and so on, right? Hello, is there everybody? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I'm just not sure you can hear me.
I could not hear. If you said anything, I could not hear you.
But now you can?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, so
Otherwise,
I just...
yeah, otherwise we would not reply.
No, I also wrote something on the chat. I
Okay.
think actually to finalize the discussion, and I think you were trying to get to this point, we probably need a spec. I don't think it's actually updating the dev ref that Luís started is the place to do it, because we have much more extensive mechanisms we are trying to capture here during the discussion. So maybe we should start the spec just to finalize the approach, and then it will be easier to split it to work items, so we can maybe split the work and follow the graduate plan that you mentioned previously.
Yeah. So you mean to have a dev ref for the run files, and then the other part to add it to Luis's, or you mean some kind of document that describes the different steps that we need to take?
I think we need a sort of, maybe spec is not a proper name, but some
Blueprint.
high level document for describing the entire scope, and then we split to run files and all the maybe
so
the daemon part and so on.
So I'll work on a blueprint for this, and then we can move on from there. And I'm looking forward for if somebody wants to step up and lead some of the parts after we have the blueprint.
I definitely want to participate. So let's start maybe with the blueprint and see which part is makes more sense to take.
Very well. Okay, so the last thing I want to ask today, and I really need to go to lunch. I have the spaghetti on the table. Is if you could all, as cores, go and vote. Well, Luís is not core, but also should vote into the Etherpad on the sessions, so that I can program them, and really, if any of you wants to lead some of the sessions, like to prepare a diagram or two, please do so as well. Okay. Like to put your name there, like so that I can contact you and say, okay, so how do you want to do it, and so on.
Okay.
But above all, please vote, because I want to close the sessions that we put.
Do you have the links for this other part?
You don't have the link? Okay, I'll send it on the chat after lunch.
I can post it right now. I think it's
okay. Thank you.
Just a second.
I mean,
thank you.
I remember I've seen this, but I'm not sure if I have it somewhere.
It's this one, right, Tony? Yeah. The virtual gathering one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, so please vote on the topics, so that if I need to drop some time, I will know which to drop, and that we can put the most popular times with the most popular talks, so the most people can attend. Very well. So thanks a lot for joining. I'll post the recording on the mailing list later. Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay. Bon appetit. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.